Lassiter Factor.
What's up, all my movie loving maniacs? This your boy Bankful B of the Lassiter Factor, and I'm back with another movie collection video. I've already shut off my movies that start with a number and the letter A, so now I'm gonna do all the movies that start with a B, so let's get into it. Starting with Babe. I used to own this on VHS back in the day, and so of course I had to own it on Blu-ray. This is a childhood favorite of mine that just aged like fine wine. I rewatched this last year, so yeah. And then of course I have its sequel, Babe Pig in the City, which I rented from Blockbuster back in the day. I only saw it once, and then I only seen it once within my adult life. Didn't think too much of it, but still think it's a worthy sequel. And plus, it's directed by I'm blanking on his name, but the director of the Mad Max movies. Baby Driver. Can't wait to rewatch this next year. Uh, Classic Edgar Wright film. Let's talk Bad Boys. Bad Boys. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? The Bad Boys 1 and 2, which this was the first time they released them on Blu-ray. Then I have Bad Boys for Life and Bad Boys Ride or Die. Bad Santa, one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time, and then I have its sequel, which is, okay. I might rewatch it this year because I think it is celebrating its 10th anniversary. I have Barbershop: The Next Cut, which is the third Barbershop film. I do not have the first two because they're only available on DVD. I was hoping to find them on Blu-ray, but I can't find them on Blu-ray. But I'm gonna get the first two in whatever format at some point. Then Barbie, fuck it, I like this movie. Definitely the better half of the whole Barbenheimer craze, and no disrespect to Oppenheimer, which you will not see in this collection. But Barbie, I just thought this was a pretty good film and a funny ass film at that. I have Battleship, which I own on DVD. I do not have on Blu-ray. I've had this for years, but I thought this was a fun movie, flaws and all. And now let's get into Batman. I have the Schumacher and Burton era of Batman movies, which had Keaton, Val Kilmer, rest in peace, and George Clooney in the role. I have Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. I have the first two movies on Steelbook, one of my favorite Steelbooks of that, and then I had the lenticular cover of The Dark Knight Rises. But overall, those are my favorite Batman films. Batman versus Superman, the Ultimate Edition, definitely the better version of this movie, but overall a flawed film, but I still think it's a pretty good film. I have The Batman, can't wait for The Batman Part 2. I have, let's talk animated Batman. I have this double feature edition of Batman Mask of Phantasm and Batman Sub-Zero, which I'm going to buy Mask of Phantasm on Blu-ray at some point, but one of the best animated Batman films. I have Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker, underrated animated Batman film. This was purely out of curiosity when it first came out, and that is Batman the Killing Joke. I know some people had issues with that adaptations, but hey. Beauty and the Beast, the original animated film, one of my favorites, and The Enchanted Christmas, Beauty and the Beast, which I'll admit, this is one of my favorite of those straight to video Disney sequels or midquels in this movie's case, but it's a nice little movie to watch around the holidays. And then I have the live action version, which at the time I thought it was pretty okay, but over the years, we'll see when I rewatch it for its anniversary next year. I have Beetlejuice and its sequel, Beetlejuice. I'm not going to say his name 3 times. Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Rest in peace, Angela Lansbury, who also played Mrs. Potts in in Beauty and the Beast. Big Hero 6, one of the best movies from the revival era of Disney. I am Baymax, your personal healthcare companion. The Best Man and the Best Man Holiday, one of the best holiday movies in recent memory, and then of course The Best Man, one of the best black cultural classics. Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance. Definitely the movie that Michael Keaton should have won an Oscar for. Birds of Prey, and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley, long ass title. Either way, it's a Harley Quinn movie, but overall, I think this movie is a lot better than people give it credit for. I have Black Adam, which a flawed film, but a fun movie at that, and the hierarchy at DC's about to change. Yeah, okay, Dwayne. The Blackening, one of my favorite comedies so far within this current decade. If you have not seen this, I highly recommend it. Black Klansman, one of the better, more recent Spike Lee films, in my opinion. Let's talk Black Panther. I have the first Black Panther, which I have on Steelbook, one of my favorite Steelbooks right here, and Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. Of course, I had to own those. Continue with Marvel. I have Black Widow on Steelbook. This is actually another recent purchase of mine, and that is the Blade trilogy. I had the trilogy on DVD for a long time, but I found this in Walmart recently, and now I have it. Like Wesley Snipes said, there's only been one Blade, only ever going to be one Blade. I know The Blind Side, I know this movie's a bit problematic recently, but I like this movie. I thought it was heartwarming. I haven't seen it in a long time, but hey. Blood Diamond, which I believe is celebrating its 20th anniversary sometime this year, so can't wait to rewatch this. Blue Beetle, the last good movie within the DCEU, in my opinion, and shout out to James Gunn for including this within his version of the DCEU, but we've yet to see that, but can't wait. Bohemian Rhapsody, I know a lot of people had issues with this movie as a biographical film, but I thought it was enjoyable. The Book of Eli, an underrated Denzel flick right here that I own on Steelbook. Boyhood, Richard Linklater. I have not seen this in a long time, but definitely intend to rewatch that at some point. Boy Kills World, one of my favorite films from 2024. This movie's just bonkers. A prized possession of mine in terms of Steelbooks, and that is Boys in the Hood. One of my favorite films of all time, and this is one of those few films that told me that movies can be more than just entertainment. It could be a means to shed light on real life situations. And of course, directed by John Singleton, rest in peace. Talk about this was the first movie that told me that, hey, someone like me could get into filmmaking. Bridesmaids, which is not only just a good comedy, but it's one of those movies that I connected with more as an adult. So yeah, and obviously, but not in terms of the bridesmaid, but just in terms of having a friend that is moving into that next chapter in life and you just feeling stuck. Bring It On. Classic cheerleading movie right there that somehow is about cultural appropriation. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Bringing Down the House, which does have some jokes that don't quite hold up, but in terms of Steve Harvey, Queen Latifah, Eugene Levy, classic comedy right here. Bruce Almighty, one of my favorite Jim Carrey joints right here. Bullet Train, one of my favorite movies from 2022. The Butterfly Effect, very underrated film, and in my opinion, not even opinion, but just my favorite Ashton Kutcher joint right here. Damn, that movie fucks me up at times. Let's talk Jason Bourne. I have this box set which has the everything from the Bourne Identity, Bourne Supremacy, Bourne Ultimatum, and Bourne Legacy. And then I have this copy of Jason Bourne, which I know some people didn't really fuck with this movie all too much, but I thought it was okay. But the Bourne movies, awesome. And finally, ending with the letter B is Lee Daniels' The Butler, which I know some people have issues with Lee Daniels, but I think this is one of his better films right here. If you have not seen this, check it out. A very underappreciated black film right there, in my opinion. So those are all the movies I own that start with the letter B. Let me know what you think. Do you own any of those titles? Let me know in the comments section below. This your boy Bankful B of the Lassiter Factor. Stay safe, wash your hands. Peace.